What's up, guys? I'm Newbie Dave, and welcome to the Weekend Update. Let's get started. How's it going, everybody? Here we are at our brand new raid farm. I've been using this thing. It's been great. But you know what hasn't been so great? Let's come down here and take a look at all the loot that we're getting. In this bottom chest, tons and tons of crossbows, iron tools, iron armor. Some of it's enchanted, but I mean, protection 2, unbreaking 1. This isn't like the idol of every Minecraft gamer to get this enchanted iron, mostly destroyed armor. There's a couple of other useful things. I mean, sugar is good, glass bottles, good. Sometimes you can get some good enchanted books, potions of healing. It's not all garbage, but most of this stuff I don't care about. I'll take the glass bottles, I'll take the sticks, but I'm never going to come to my raid farm and run it to get more sticks, to get more glass bottles. That's not what this farm is for. Mainly, the main things I want from this farm are the emeralds, the totems of undying, and the occasional gunpowder that drops. Everything else I don't care about, and I would prefer to just get rid of it. I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chests, and these things, and they'll fill up in like an hour. And frankly, I don't want to sit here and like empty all this stuff out into my inventory and then throw it over to the side or have it take it somewhere else. So I think what I want to do today is come up with a better storage system, more specifically a better trash system, to more easily clean out these chests of all the junk that I don't want. My first thought for this project was to do some sort of auto sorter and just sort out all the things that I want, and then everything else can just go into like a cauldron of lava or something like that. The only problem with that is totems of undying, one of the things that I want, are non-stacking, and I'm not saying it's impossible, but I don't know of a good way to sort out, to auto sort non-stacking items. And even if there is a way, which I'm sure there is, it's big, it's complicated. I don't want to build this big complicated auto sorter just for one thing, when really what I would rather do is just get rid of everything else that I don't want. So what I'm probably going to do is I'll run this thing, I'll come get the totems of undying, the emeralds, the sticks, the gunpowder, the sugar, anything that I want to keep I'll just take out, and then I want to just easily trash everything else. So what I'm going to do is, we've got some supplies here. Probably won't need all this stuff. Some of the stuff like inner chests and some extra chests is more for some more permanent storage down at the ground. I think once I get out the totems of undying and emeralds and everything, it'll be easier to just move them to some more permanent storage away from this storage system. But this other stuff is going to be for our trash system, our garbage collection system. And what I'm going to start with is we're going to get rid of these 2 leaves right here, and I'm going to put some solid blocks there, and then we'll put a solid block right there. On the front of this block we will put a lever, and on top of that one we will put some redstone, and that's just going to turn the redstone on and off. The reason I want to do this first before we get anything else put in is because we're going to be putting a hopper under this chest over here. Let me put some lighting so this is a little bit easier to see. We're going to put a hopper under this chest, and this is going to lock that hopper, so it's not going to start pulling things out of the chest until we're actually ready to start disposing of items. So I want to get that put in first. Now on the other side of this stone block, this is the stone block that has the lever on it, I'm going to put a redstone torch, and then above that we will put a redstone lamp. What this is going to do is it's just going to let us know when this thing is turned on and when it's off. So when the light is on, this thing is going to be pulling items out and trashing them. When the light is off, then everything is secure and we don't have to worry about accidentally losing some items. Now below that redstone torch, we'll just put 2 more blocks like this, and now we need to get down underneath all of this. So now we'll come to this chest over here, and we'll put a hopper underneath that chest, and we want the hopper pointing down, so make sure you don't accidentally look it to the blocks to the side of it. And then directly below that we're going to put a dropper. Let me see if I can sort of inch my way over there. So we want a dropper right below the hopper, and we want the dropper facing down like that. Alright, so this is going to be the tricky part. We need to get some observers in, and we don't really have anything to place these on, so we're going to have to put some temporary blocks up there. So let me get around on this side, and I'm going to put a temporary block right there. And then I'm going to place an observer against it so it's pointing that way. If we remove this, you can now see the face of the observer, is facing away and the back of the observer is going into the dropper. We need to do something similar on this side, so I'm going to put a sticky piston right there, and then we need an observer that is facing away from the sticky piston, or rather we want it to face this guy right here. So we need to kind of get on this side of the sticky piston and place an observer right there. No, other side. I just did it and I still forget which way these things face when you place them. So at this point we should have something that looks like this. The stone block that has our lever on the other side of it has a redstone torch on the back with a redstone lamp above it. Then there's one more stone block next to that, and below that stone block there is a sticky piston holding an observer. And so when the sticky piston extends, these two observers will observe each other, which creates a pretty fast ticking redstone clock, which will then cause the dropper to tick over and over and over again. To kind of finish connecting all these pieces, we need one more piece of redstone right there. So when we flick the lever, the redstone torch will turn on that redstone, which will pass through the block into the piston, extending it so that these two observers face each other and tick. Last thing to make this an actual trash system and not just a drop items on the ground system is we need to put something under this dropper to then destroy everything. For this I'm going to use some lava, and we need to get a little ways this way. So I've got some trapdoors. You can use any sort of block you want as long as it's not flammable. Ironically, trapdoors that are made out of wood are not flammable. And I think it looks really cool. So I'm going to put a trapdoor underneath that block. Then I'm going to put a trapdoor on each side of the bottom of this block like this. So you should have a block below this temporary block and then one on each side of it. Now we can break that block and we're going to replace it with lava. And so again, my choice of trapdoors is mostly arbitrary. You could use any sort of block on the 5 sides around this one. The reason I like the trapdoors is because even with the blocks there, you can still access the block in the middle of all those things, where if they were stone or something else, then you would have a hard time getting in there. So now I'll close those trapdoors, which also isn't necessary. This works just fine with the trapdoors open, but I like the way it looks closed. And now that anything that the dropper drops will go straight into the lava and immediately be destroyed. Don't worry, the lava is not going to burn your leaves because it is completely surrounded. Even if you leave these doors open like this, it's still technically surrounded and the heat from the lava can't actually reach the leaves. And that's pretty much it. I like this trash collection system. I've used it before. This one's a little bit different just because we're underneath a raid farm, and so with that in mind, we also need to spawn proof this thing so that raids don't spawn on our trash collection system. So first let me turn it on. Let me make sure it works. So we'll come in here. I think I've pretty much got everything I care about. Again, in the future I'll probably rescue sticks and glass bottles and everything else, but for now I don't really care. Let's just turn it on and see what happens. So flick the lever. We can see items start getting pulled out of this and going into the dropper. And you can see the two observers are ticking away, so the dropper is just immediately dropping everything that it gets, which goes into the lava and is destroyed. Our lives just got so much easier. Now we don't have to worry about emptying out these chests. They will empty themselves. So I'll let this thing run for a while. I'll make sure everything in here gets destroyed, and then when it's done we'll turn it off. You definitely want to turn this thing off when you're done with it. If you leave it on and then run the raid farm, all the raid loot's going to get destroyed, which isn't what we want. We do want some of the loot, just not all the junk. So while that's running, let's go ahead and spawn proof this thing. We need to put some leaves on top of everything that we just added, so I'm going to put some leaves there. I'll put some on top of the redstone lamp, and I'm going to leave a little gap right here just so I can see the redstone lamp. But I think this is okay. I think that's okay. We're going to put a block there as well to block the lever. That's why I think that this is okay to have one block of air gap in between them, because that's what we've got here. We've got a block of air between this lever to turn on the farm and the grass up. I said grass. The leaves up there. We've also got a block of air between the bed and the leaves up there. So I think it's okay to have one block of air in between these things. Come around to this side, we'll put some leaves there, we'll put some leaves there and there and there to cover the piston and the observer when the piston is retracted. And I think that's it. I think that covers everything. Alright, our chests are emptied out, so we will turn this thing off. I'm going to go ahead and trigger the raid farm to get it running. And we'll just test this thing out. We'll get some loot, we'll take the stuff that we want out of the chests, and then we'll just trash everything else. Alright, so we've got the raid farm going, we've got a raid triggered, all the waves are spawning, they're dying, and then when this is done, we'll turn it off and go get our loot. Alright, that finishes our raid, so let's turn this thing off, and we'll go check out the loot that we got. So, emeralds, yes, we'll take those. We'll take the totems of undying. We'll take the spider eyes, why not? Feather falling 4 and sharpness 4. That's actually a pretty good enchanted book. We'll take the redstone. Everything else in here, yeah, I don't want it, so trash it. And there goes all the junk that we don't care about. So this is really nice. This is going to make cleaning up the loot from this raid farm a whole lot easier. We just take what we want and trash everything else. If you wanted to, I'm not going to do it because I want to keep things here pretty compact, but if you wanted to, you could also put a comparator coming out of this bottom chest and going into another redstone lamp. And that lamp will light up if there's anything in the chest. And so once the chest is empty, then the lamp will turn off and you know that you're done trashing everything and you can turn it off. It's just a good sort of signal to know when you're done, other than coming over here and having to check the chest all the time. But like I said, I'm not going to do that just to keep this nice and tight. So last thing I am going to do is we're going to come down here back to the bottom of this thing. And I'm going to put down some chests for storage. So we'll just come, I guess back here against the back wall is good. And there's not actually a whole lot of stuff that I want from this farm, so I think 4 chests will probably be good enough. We'll put some item frames on here. And then the things that I actually care about keeping, I'll just label those. So totems of undying, some emeralds. This redstone dust is really just meant to represent all the dust, so gunpowder, redstone, glowstone, sugar, everything with that sort of texture will go in here. And then spider eye is really just everything else that I care about. So that could be empty potion bottles, it could be sticks, arrows, whatever else I want to keep. It'll just go in here. So this will save us from having to make trips back and forth between our base as we are emptying out the chest up there. We can just drop down here, throw stuff into this storage, go back up and keep running. And with that, I think we are finally done with this raid farm. I can't think of anything else I want to do with this thing other than run it and get lots of good stuff from it. So this was a fun project. I'd never made a raid farm before, but it was a good project. It was fun to work on, learned a lot in the process, and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to my patron Summer. Thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, and while you're down there, feel free to subscribe so you'll get notified of future episodes as they come out. Thanks y'all, and have a great day.